I'm going to read to you from a book called Witch Hunt in Hollywood, McCarthyism's War on Tinseltown, by Michael Friedland with Barbara Paskin. There you go. That's the book. I'm going to read from page 120, which is chapter 8, Larry Sings Again. The Un-American Committee, it goes back in centuries. There was an un-Italian committee that subpoenaed Galileo, a committee of un-French activists that subpoenaed Joan of Arc, and an un-New England committee that burned women in Salem. Out of 2,000 years of men fighting and dying came the idea of justice in a document called the Bill of Rights. Actor Robert Young in Hollywood fights back, 1947. Larry Parks was a young man whose whole career had been full of surprises. Parks was incredibly good looking, but hadn't made the impact that most people expected when he was first signed up by Columbia Pictures. He was perennially assigned to B pictures like Blondie Goes to College in 1942 and Revel with Beverly the following year. Well, they sound okay, don't they? Which also featured another youngster who had failed to excite movie audiences by the name of Frank Sinatra. Parks was a very good actor, but somehow the critics didn't notice. And then in 1946 came a thing called The Jolson Story. 1946, okay. It made him a superstar. At least it probably would have made him a superstar had not the real unseen Al Jolson got a whole bundle of plaudits for the songs he recorded for the movie. Jolson had called himself the world's greatest entertainer, and for 30 years nobody challenged him. He had an ego that went with the size of his audiences, a man who could dismiss an entire cast in the middle of a show and cry to the audience, "Do you want to see them, or do you want to hear me?" They always chose him. By then, the singer who made his reputation by performing songs like Rockabye Your Baby with a Dixie Melody and Swanee in blackface, and had starred in 1927's The Jazz Singer, the world's first talkie, fell out of favour. As a result, the Jolson Story, however, was back and bigger than ever, and so was his ego. But it wasn't all bad for Larry Parks. People also took notice of the fellow, who was now even better looking than before. A better actor than ever, even those who always knew he was good, dead to imagine. Okay. Parks was dark-haired and with an engaging smile that was almost a star. A smile that was a star. Okay. You could recognize him beneath the black face makeup he wore in his big film. By that smile and an engaging wink. At 32, Sam Klusman Lawrence Parks was the perfect leading man. He could convince audiences that he was Al Jolson and still keep his own personality intact. The Jolson Story was a triple triumph. As a picture, it was the second biggest box office hit in 1946. It resurrected the career of an almost forgotten star of the 1920s and 30s and catapulted into the #1 pop music spot, which he held until his death 4 years later. And it gained Larry Parks the recognition he deserved. The critics were enamored of his performance, not least by the feat that in another actor might have attracted derision. His miming of the voice and songs of a generation before his, that was no mere achievement. It was a triumph. Other actors had done it before, of course. Straight players who did little more than move their lips in what they hoped would be synchronization with the songs. Well, shouldn't try too hard, should you? Parks did much more than that. He sang at the top of his own voice, while speakers blasted out Jolson's even louder, so much louder than Parks sounded like Jolson, even to himself. One critic noted, "You could even see the fur on his tongue." We've had fur on his tongue. I don't know. Okay. The only person who didn't rejoice in Larry Parks' achievement was 60-year-old Jolson himself, who was frightened that the younger man would take some of the glory that should have been his. Besides, he thought that only Jolson could play Jolson. But Harry Cohn, the iron dictator of Columbia Pictures, loved him. The girls loved him, and the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences loved him. And he was nominated for an Oscar. Right, I'm going to end there. Don't know why. See you later.